Evolution engines, just a quick little bit of information about the 1984 through to late 1991. The actual cases for these motors did change late 91 to go from 92 to 1999. Now, the thing is with the earlier ones, the way the case is as a structure, they're a lot more fragile in a sense. They did sort of redo obviously the mold for the cases in that late 91 to fall into 92 to 99. So a couple of things that did happen in 84 to the late 91 models, we have got an external breather happening here. So when we've got crankcase oil obviously sitting in the cases, it's hydraulicing everything else due to the oil pump relief valve. So the ball that sits in here with a spring on it, if it's not seating correctly or that spring has become old, weak, less tension, they'll apply pressure to that ball. We will see typically a gravity feed. This bike being a dyno, we still have got the actual oil tank sitting higher than the engine. So a gravity feed coming through, seeing this relief valve here, surpassing the ball and having sumping issues. When you do fire up, as this bike's obviously had as well, that when we hydraulic the oil in the crankcase, it actually comes up out of this breather and it dumps all over the ground. Now, a typical fix is either you update your oil pump in this era, or also what we can do is actually get, or there's ways that we do it, but we reseat the seat in the actual relief system. So when the ball comes down, it's got a better contact around the ball. When it doesn't, like say there was a bit of, or say it was abrasive or it had gaskets stuck in there, it's going to sit that ball up, which then will allow that feed to come through and start filling up your crankcase with oil. So we can lap, so to speak, in a way that we do it, but we can lap a new seat into the face of where that ball goes for the relief. It is just a common issue with Harley. You can get the spring, give it a bit of a stretch, it applies more tension to the ball, but if that ball's not seating correctly and we've got tension, we just don't have that seat allowance here. So that can be an issue. Another issue obviously is yet again scavenger gear. These are timed off the crank and also the camshaft as one cycle, as one rotation to keep these things timed. This one's not too bad. We're going to give it a quick little buff up, and we're putting an S&S breather gear in there to take away the plastic one that creates an abrasion in here. If that starts seeing itself on plastic to metal, creating a cavity, we've then obviously got a indifference in how our quality of oil pressure is, scavenging effect, because we've got so much oil surpassing around that cavity being so open, it creates an issue. Another thing that we've got to do too, and I sort of want to just put this to the people, when we've got these base gaskets that get really stuck to the base of the cylinder, people sit here and scribe them off. So they'll grab some sort of sharp edge and start gouging through this, but it gouges into the actual base of the cylinder as well. And what that does, and I see this time and time again, which can be an issue, we've got to try and correct it in the moment, but when we've got all these gouges and everything going on, don't think that the applied gasket being new will take up the indifference. What we've got to do in this case is we're going to run this and actually put it on the lathe, and we'll lathe that off and work with the deck height that we want, where we can take a very minor amount of material off the base of the cylinder, which will drop that sleeve down further to give us a zero deck height when we're doing our clearance checks and setup for this motor build. Now, this being an earlier Evolution motor, we can't go too far on compression, and the reason being is these cases can fracture. So what we're doing is going with a 8.7:1 Keith Black piston, and we'll deck 10 off the base of the cylinders, so we will get a zero deck height here. However, we will run a flat top piston, knock a little bit off the heads, but if you go too far in your compression, you do see fractures. Like I've got a bike here that had a lot of fracturing even around where we've got one of these case bolts that runs through the top. It was fractured everywhere, and also there is a bleed off here. Typically when these are open cavity running through, we see a fracture here, and what that does is on that bleed through, it starts dispersing oil out everywhere. It creates an absolute menace of a setup. So yeah, this thing's going to have a Andrews EV3 camshaft. We're obviously updating. We're going to obviously pull the crank, split the crank, new rods, correct the crank, zero run out, and work our way back up. Give this a Lenish, new breather gear in there, the Andrews cam, and work our way up. And we'll have just a nice little bit of compression with this thing. It'll work nice with the EV3 Andrews. And then we sort of go from there. But just things to look forward to if you're pulling your bike down. We are going to see a lot of abrasion in here, a lot of abrasion, so to speak, due to that plastic gear, steel gear. Please, if you're going to gouge the shit out of these, maybe take them to a machine shop, get them to Lenish that off, because once you start getting in here and wrecking the base of this, that gasket seal becomes an issue. We've got our ways to work with it here at the shop, or many shops do, but we've just got to watch where our oil feeds and everything is, because if you're gouging around this and it creates a indifference on how round that hole is for a feed, we're going to have issues with gasket seating and everything else. You don't want leaks on this stuff, you know. We're going back now 40 odd years on this thing. So anyway, we'll keep going on this one for Carl. It's going to come up a treat. We've got an ignition module and a coil, single file coil from Daytona Twin Tech. Keith Black, Andrews parts. It's going to be Mickey Mouse and it'll go nice. We're also putting a flat side Mikuni 42mm smooth bore on it. So just a bit of something for you Evolution guys, especially in the earlier year of what these are.